right, welcome to the Short Horror Beer Cast. I'm Paul.
And I'm Alec.
Well, first, let's just say cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh.
What the fuck was that?
I just hit the mic. Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers. Everything just explodes.
That should be our last episode. Cheers, and then a giant explosion.
Yes, we're fucking toast.
Alrighty, we're off to a great start. I have a question for you, though. I was going to ask you, I'm holding a jar in my hand.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a mason jar, to be precise. And it's got something very hazy and strange in it. And I don't know what you're seeing, but you're probably seeing a lot of strange things.
I really am. I don't really know what the fuck I'm looking at.
Okay, what you're looking at is a hazy IPA. And this is by Sierra Nevada. This is Hazy Little Things IPA. I put it in a mason jar. For some reason, I just had the inkling to do so. I'm not sure why.
That's odd.
Oh, wait, I do know why. Recovering the Jar by Ray Bradbury. That's why.
Nice.
And it's Hazy Little Things IPA by Sierra Nevada, and it's very hazy, and you can sort of look at it for a long time and see what you want to see or what you don't want to see. What do you have over there?
Nicely done, Paul.
Oh, thank you. I try. I tried really hard.
It's cool. I've had that. That's a very good beer. If you do like the haze, that's a nice one.
Yes.
All right. So my journey on this was tough, dude. Tough.
Okay. Yeah.
I looked at a few things. The first choice I found was from Trademark Brewing. It was a red IPA called Morbid Curiosity.
Oh, nice.
I know. I was like, ah, shit.
Yeah, that's perfect.
And it no one has it around here.
Okay.
If it's even around, I don't know.
Okay.
And then I found another brewery called Track 7.
Okay.
And they have a Morbid Curiosity double IPA.
Oh, okay.
I was like, oh, shit. And no one has it. I was like, God damn it. I saw one that I've seen before around here, Rogue Brewing Company.
Oh, of course. Rogue. I know Rogue.
Yeah. It's Dead Guy Pale Ale.
Oh, yeah. It's a great one.
And I thought, well, sort of.
Yeah.
But not enough.
Okay.
I can't do it. I already fizzled out on the first episode with what I just had in the fridge and just said, fuck it. I was like, ah, shit. So I went to go get that because I'm like, I don't know, whatever. But then I came across the one I did choose, and it's called North Peak Brewing Company in Traverse City.
Okay.
And the beer is Dauntless Oktoberfest Lager.
Oh, nice. Oh, perfect.
The Dauntless got me because someone in our story is pretty dauntless about this thing he acquires.
Absolutely.
He stays on it. So that was my reckoning on that. And then it also said Oktoberfest, which came from the October country.
Of course.
So I said, well, here we go.
And our friend Ray Bradbury is a big fan of October and Halloween and autumn and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's perfect.
So that's me.
So
one quick thing.
Yeah.
When I bought it, the guy's like, I thought you were going to get the, what did I say? The Dead Guy.
Yeah.
And I go, well, I changed my mind and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, well, what are you going to do for your podcast? Because I tried to explain to him what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, whatever. He goes, what's the name of it? And I told him, and he goes, oh, yeah, I knew a girl like that. And I go, what? He goes, yeah. I go, I don't know what that means. He said, oh, short whore? I go, no, dude. No, and I'm not making this up. I am not making this up. I go, are you kidding me? He goes, first I thought you said horse, short horse. I'm like, what? I said, oh my God, dude. No, it's the Short Horror Beer Cast.
That's great. That's amazing.
He said something hilarious that matched the two. He goes, I guess they're both the same. Every time I go out for the show, I'm like running into these interesting, colorful people.
I have to tell you, I have to get going because I have an idea for another podcast. So I'll be right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The short horror beer cast is hilarious. I was like, dude, I think you're onto something.
Making a list as we speak. That's amazing.
He killed me. I swear that happened.
That's
like
beautiful.
2 hours ago.
I love it.
All right.
All right. So anyway, now that we've set the tone, today we're covering The Jar, like I said, by Ray Bradbury. Mm-hmm. This was published in November of 1944 for Weird Tales magazine, and later appeared in his 1947 collection Dark Carnival, which is his very first collection of stories. The book was somewhat retooled in 1955 with some additions and deletions and released under the title The October Country, and that's still available today. It's one of my personal favorites, as a matter of fact. It's a desert island book for sure. Now, Ray Bradbury probably doesn't need any introduction to our listeners. His Wikipedia entry describes him as one of the most celebrated authors of the 20th century, and there's certainly no objection to that from this reviewer.
No.
If you've heard the name at all, you probably know him from high school English class. He's the author of Fahrenheit 451.
Yeah.
You may also know him from The Martian Chronicles. That was his breakthrough collection of stories. Not that it was his first one, but it was a very big collection when it came out. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk a little bit more about Ray later on and how he sort of fits into the grand literary scheme of things. There's a lot to say about Ray. But one thing that can be said of him right now is, just like we say of all the writers that we cover here on the old Beercast, that's the fact that Paul and Alec, despite our incredible collective prowess, can't do the prose itself justice. No. In order to appreciate Ray Bradbury, you just have to read Ray Bradbury.
Oh my God, just this story alone.
Yeah.
I was like, just like tasting all these words, like these phrases. I'm like, man, this atmosphere is insane.
Yeah. He's
in 9 pages. Or
yeah,
it's like,
it's a short one and it's fully packed. It's amazing.
Yeah,
the execution is amazing. The ideas are amazing enough when you read them. You read synopses of the story, you're like, oh my God, 1-sentence descriptions of the stories, and you're like, oh man, I have to read this. And then you read it, and the execution is phenomenal. So let's get into it. All right, so the story opens, and the tone is set with a capital S. The only suitable way to open this discussion is with a direct quote from the story's opening. Would you care to oblige?
It was one of those things they keep in a jar in the tent of a sideshow on the outskirts of a little drowsy town.
Boom.
Man, it's stupid how good that
yeah,
is.
Right.
One of those things they keep in a jar. Like, you're like, oh, right.
Right, yeah, one of those things, sure.
Oh, those things? Right. I hated those.
I got one right here that I'm sitting on.
That's right.
So anyway, it turns out we're in Louisiana, and the carnival is in town. And what is this thing in the jar? Well, we don't quite know. We get the impression that it's maybe a pickled fetus or something like that, one of those freak show items, either animal or human. Ray Bradbury leaves it vague for now. We do know that it has eyes and hair. And by the way, we're going to talk more about Ray Bradbury and carnivals and why they feature so prominently in his stories, because they do. We're not exactly sure when this story takes place. We find out our protagonist is driving a horse and wagon. He is a farmer, and I was having a little trouble with this one, but I found out, just doing some searching online, that horses and carriages were used in rural areas through the 1920s. And so Ray Bradbury was born in 1920. I'm thinking that his memories of carnivals and stuff were from when he was a kid, so I'm going to grant that this could very well be the 20s and 30s, or maybe it's modern times, and he's just talking about the very rural countryside of Louisiana.
I'm going to guess it's the first part of what you said, that it's the 20s or 30s.
Okay.
Did you watch Carnival on HBO?
I did not, no.
Well, that was a carnival in the 20s or 30s. I
don't
remember the year. That feeling you get of the carnival scene back then was just this, drew people out of the woodwork to see bizarre shit.
Yes, indeed.
Really cool.
Yes, agreed. Yeah, and Ray's got some great stories from that time. Mm-hmm. So the novel Something Wicked This Way Comes is all about the carnival coming to town. And of course, his first book of stories was called Dark Carnival. Mm-hmm. Later appropriated by the Insane Clown Posse, by the way, I found out. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. The only podcast where you would hear Ray Bradbury and Insane Clown Posse mentioned in the same sentence.
Well, congratulations.
Yes, thank you. So now, all right, so we meet Charlie. He's our protagonist. Charlie has been staring at this thing in the jar for quite some time. As a matter of fact, the carnival is actually shutting down for the night, and Charlie is still there staring at the jar. The carny boss comes over. He says, "You're still here?" Charlie says, "Yeah." The carny boss says, "Well, yeah, I don't blame you. Everybody loves that thing. You've been staring at it all day. I don't blame you." And Charlie says, "Would you ever consider selling it?" The guy says, "Sell it? Hell no. It brings in the customers. I'm not selling it to you." And he says, I mean, if a guy had, say, $3-4 on, he keeps raising the price before he finally settles on $12 for the thing.
Right.
Charlie says, "Isn't that funny? I just happen to have $12 in my jeans here." By the way, and that's around $200 in today's money. Charlie the farmer's keeping $200 on him.
He's doing all right.
Charlie buys the thing, and as he's going out to the wagon, the horse rears up at it.
Yeah, that was good too. It's like, what's that?
It's like Frau Blucher. So before he drives off, the carny boss says, "Man, I'm sure glad to be getting rid of that thing. It's making me see funny things."
Yeah.
Anyway, good purchase. And
have a good time.
Here we get this great description utilizing the sense of sound. We hear the wagon, the horse, the crickets, and the sloshing jar.
Yeah.
As Charlie is driving this thing home. It's pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm. The thing is like sloshing around in the jar, banging against the sides.
Right.
And he says it's looking out all the time, looking out, but seeing nothing.
Yes. Right.
Just to remind you of this fucking thing that's in the jars. Rough.
So, yeah. And at one point, he reaches back to steady it, and his hand comes away coated in the goo that's inside the jar that the thing is floating in. And I love this. He sniffs at it. He sniffs his hand after he touches this thing. It's a very human thing to do. So, leftover from the primate days,
Right.
Just, this is going to sniff this.
What is it? I don't know. I better sniff it.
Right.
What?
Aren't you glad we didn't step in it? There's that old joke. So Charlie pulls up at the general store where a bunch of his cronies are hanging out. Mm-hmm. These are shades of the beginning of the gray matter, right?
Yeah, for sure.
We get these bumpkins, these local bumpkins, for lack of a better word, right?
Right.
And they pay no attention when Charlie arrives.
Right.
Charlie pulls up to them. He says, "Hey, I got something y'all might want to see." And here we meet Tom Carmody.
Yeah.
And Tom Carmody's like the asshole in every group. There's always one.
Mm-hmm. That description of him is, I don't know, I think maybe not my favorite part of the story, but certainly one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the guy who's always somehow in shadow looking out.
Yeah.
The guy who's always, he says it's whether on the porch or under the tree, or if he's in a room, he's off in the darkest corner looking at you. He's always looking at you, but he's always in the dark doing it.
Right.
And you never know what his face is doing, but he's always thinking you're a fucking idiot when he's looking at Charlie.
Yeah.
And every time he looks at you, the laugh was different.
Yeah. Right.
Man, just that unveiling of a character just being in the shadows like that for whatever the reason. Maybe it's,
Yeah.
Like every time they unveil a character in a Western that's doing that in the corner of a bar, or like even Aragorn in Lord of the Rings, smoking that pipe in the dark and it just lights up his eyes.
Right.
Okay, things like that.
Yeah.
Are awesome to me. I don't know why. I don't know what the deal is with that, but that intro of a character to me is always pretty slick.
What you remind me of here is that, I don't mean to be too pedantic about it. That's a crazy thing for me to say, because I'm pedantic about everything, but pseudo-intellectual about everything. But he almost represents somebody's conscience that tells you that you're a phony no matter what. Mm-hmm. You may have pulled the wool over their eyes for now with whatever you're doing in life, but I'm on to you.
Yeah, I got your number, buddy.
Yeah. That's what he reminds me of. He's
a great character.
Yeah, he is.
He's really good.
And in a story like this, he's definitely impactful in more ways than is obvious. Mm-hmm. So his words to Charlie is, "You ain't got nothing we wants to see, baby doll." It's just,
asshole,
right? Nice to just lob off Charlie by the ankles like that. That's nice.
Yeah, that's real nice.
But anyway, Charlie presses on. He says, "Yeah, I got this thing. It looks kind of like a brain, kind of like a pickled jellyfish, kind of like I don't know what."
Yeah.
And I was thinking here we get Shades of Friction,
right,
by Charles Beaumont. We get that wonderful, like, you don't know exactly what this is. You just know it's something wrong.
You get people looking at it going, "What the fuck is that?"
Right.
Come on.
And I love this. Charlie gives him a little peek. He lifts the lid off the jar just for enough for them to get a glimpse of it.
Yeah.
And ask him what the hell it is, and he slams the jar shut.
Mm-hmm.
When he lifts the jar to give them a look, Ray describes this. This is a wonderful description of the men, the way they rise slowly. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, they sort of, it's like the thing is controlling them from the jar.
Yeah.
Like lifting them up against their will, sort of, and I imagine their eyes are like half lidded or, wide open or whatever.
You're right.
They're sort of floating, like when you see a monster, vampire, whatever, floating across the floor with its toes just above the ground.
Right, yes.
Just drifting towards something. Like,
yeah.
They're just staring at it and circling it.
Yeah.
These images are just so good to me. Like, I think you said before,
yeah,
he writes very much for visual.
Yes.
Like it could be a show or a movie.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
he's really good at it.
Yeah.
To me, I think maybe I gravitate to that. I don't know. Because this story alone got me like, oh, awesome. I'm reading it like that was really good, all along.
Yeah, yeah. And you being a visual artist, I'm sure you respond to that because he's a bit of an impressionist too.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, it's not until you back up that you realize what the hell he's doing with his language. It's pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we can't emphasize this enough that our listeners really need to read this story.
Yeah, for sure.
It's okay. There's a writer, Gene Wolfe, said, I'm going to paraphrase it, but he said something like, literature is what you can reread with increased pleasure. Okay, and that's definitely what this is. I would call this literature. You can reread it and find more things and just be enriched all over again. It's pretty amazing.
Yep.
So anyway, so Charlie, gives him the peek and then snaps the lid shut, and he says, "You want more? You got to come to my house. That's what it will be. Bye." And
Bye.
and the guys just kind of sit there watching Charlie leave. It's just like,
yeah, that was also good.
Yeah,
they're watching him leave over the hill, and they're just staring like, what was that?
Slack-jawed.
And then they're watching him in the dark, squinting up the road, and Tom Carmody swore softly from the porch.
Yeah.
He didn't like that shit at all.
Right, right.
He's like, he's not going to have something great. Fuck that.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, pretty cool.
So we break and we come back again to see that Charlie is entering his house with this thing. He lives at the edge of the swamp. Mm-hmm. And just like Mr. Peldo from Fritchin, he's dreaming of riches. Yeah. He's like, this thing is gonna... It's not exactly riches. He's sort of dreaming of just fame and being a big man.
Yeah.
He wants to be important.
Yeah, because you're really getting the sense that he's this sort of henpecked, kind of quiet Ichabod Crane type guy.
Right.
Real gangly and kind of like, oh, okay, whatever.
Right.
This is his chance to be the guy.
Yes.
Important. I'm important suddenly. It's great.
Right. And then his wife comes in. Thede is her name. Or Thetty? Is it Thede or Thetty?
I'm going to say it was...
I'm going to say...
Let's say...
Let's say Carol.
Yeah, Thede.
Thede? All right.
Sounds more feminine.
Okay, Thede. Yes, Thede comes in, and she's a nasty thing.
Oh, God.
Again, Ray describes her wonderfully.
So good. So good. She's prone to glaring at him.
Yes.
For starters, which is nice.
Yeah.
And wearing faded blue gingham.
Yeah.
And Uncle Paul, what's gingham?
Oh, gingham is, I think it's a all right, I'm not.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I had no idea. I didn't want to look it up. I wanted to
No,
ask
as a matter of fact, I straightened up in my chair when you said that. Well.
Well, I'll tell you.
I grabbed the beer. Well.
Well, young man.
Yes. So it is a kind of material, and it's checkered, like blue checkered. Think, what's her name's dress in Wizard of Oz? Judy Garland's dress in Wizard of Oz.
Gotcha.
That would be blue gingham.
I pictured, something from that time would be something like that. Never heard that term.
I believe it actually refers to the fabric itself with the checkered pattern on it.
Yeah, so she's wearing that blue gingham.
Yes.
And her hair's tied back super severe, tight bun behind her head.
Yeah.
Behind her red ears. That's what got me. She's just got like red ears. For some reason, I'm like, just bitch.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Right, you don't know why.
I don't know why. It's so weird, but it just equals like she's just a piece of work.
Yep.
Anyway.
So yeah, exactly. So Charlie's like, "Hey, babe, look what I got here." And she asks him what it is. He says, "Well, what does it look like to you?" Because damned if he knows. She stares at it and says, "It looks just like you, Charlie." Yeah, thanks. And she disappears into the bedroom, slams the door behind her.
Fuck off.
Yeah. Now, Charlie has this silent freak out, and I love this about this character. Mm-hmm. He is in this horrible relationship, and he is trying like hell to hold on to her.
Yeah.
And he just can't do it. And it's anything to hold on to her. He's not obsessed, but you can tell there's something that she fulfills in him. and he just needs to hold on to her. He just can't, though, because she's so terrible. And
Yeah.
been leaving for weeks at a stretch, to hang out with her family and stuff like that. Charlie starts talking to the jar.
That's what I thought was great. He's like, God, man, you know what? She's such a bitch. I'm trying so hard staring at this jar with this thing, telling it it's his whole story.
Right.
And
that, I've done that. I've talked to my beer.
Stare at your cat or dog like, you know what, man?
Right, yep.
God damn it. I gotta tell you something.
You won't tell anybody, right? This is between you and me, right?
We're good, right?
So he hears somebody calling his name. Turns out it's some of the guys from the general store. They said, we just wanted to, come here down here and take a look at what's in that jar of yours. Yeah. That's all.
Can I see that jar?
Yeah, just by the way, remember the jar?
That jar you had? You still got that? Sorry.
So maybe this is a week later, maybe this is 10 days, 2 weeks, who knows, but at least it's just a period of time, a relatively short period of time passes. And we find out Charlie's living pretty large on this thing. He's not earning money, but people are flocking to him, and it's the same group on the daily that are visiting, congregating, if you will, at his house and staring at this jar. This has been happening for a couple of weeks. And the routine is the same every time. The visitors arrive and cram into the place, and for a while they're silent. He describes it as a rude church gathering, which I love.
Yeah, it's good.
Where they just sit and sort of gather their thoughts. As they're congregating, he's talking about the silence in the place. And I want you right now to thank me for not mentioning something here.
Thank you. No, what?
When he's describing how quiet it is, he says the only sound would be somebody sucking on a corn cob.
Oh, shit. I didn't even think of that. Oh.
You didn't think that one would rear its ugly
head again? I didn't even
again?
think it through. I was just thinking corncob pipes, like even the old ladies used to smoke on. I figured that's
exactly what I thought too, but
But God. Yeah, no, I hadn't thought of that, and I appreciate you not bringing it up, even though you brought it up.
Can we just indulge in a collective fuck you, Stephen King, for this?
Yeah, he can go F himself for that gross little factoid. That was sick. Corn cob.
Yep. So anyway, hey, listen, we set the tone from the beginning.
Yep.
So Thede isn't too happy with this setup. We find out she just hangs out with the women in the back of the room, and she helps them chase out the kids. The kids aren't allowed in this gathering. Yep. You can tell she's just seething under her breath. Charlie's the king of the swamp, and she doesn't like that one bit. And then Gramps speaks up. This is Gramps Medlow. I love these names. Gramps Medlow is one of Charlie's acquaintances from the general store. He says he and his wife lie in bed thinking about that jar. They think long and hard on it, even so that they shiver. Even on a hot night, they shiver. Yeah. And so God knows what their nighttime conversations are, but they're just thinking about the jar.
Yeah.
And then we get Juke Marmer, another acquaintance. He speaks up, and he tells us a little story about what he might see in the jar, he tells us a little story about what the jar is putting him in mind of. And this is just one of the most heartbreaking things for me personally.
Yeah, I figured this for you was too much.
As I said, I'm a cat lover, and in the book I Am Legend by Richard Matheson, and this is depicted in the movie, the dog dying.
Yeah.
Everybody always reacts to that dog dying, and in the book it's really harsh. And I like dogs. I'm not a dog person, but I like dogs.
Sure.
And it's heartbreaking when an animal dies in a book, and especially when it's written well.
Yeah.
And
right.
So Juke Marmer tells us the story about how his mom had made him drown kittens because their cat had too many, and they ran out of people to give them to. So she just gave him a 2-gallon bucket of water and said, "Here, take this outside and drown these kitties." And so he had to drown them. And everybody, after he says that, he just says that this is kind of what the jar is reminding him of.
Drowning cats.
Yeah.
Is like this weird practice in that time or something, because I've heard I'm going to drown you like a bag of kittens.
Right.
As a saying.
Yeah.
From back, you'd see it in movies. It's like, what the fuck did he just say? What?
It was a Little House on the Prairie episode that scarred me as a kid, where it begins with a guy loading puppies into a sack and with a rock and throwing them into the river. You know. Yeah, no, it's awful.
It's a weird thing from that time.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to hear anybody say that we don't live in more enlightened times. We don't do this. We don't
between
and
being kind to animals and the advances in surgery alone.
Yes, exactly.
Be thankful, people.
Yes. And then we get a story from Jadu. He's a black man. We have a 1940s alert. Ding, ding,
alert.
ding.
Alert.
Note to our listeners, a 1940s alert, or a 1930s or 1920s alert and so on, is a public service provided by the Short Harbor Beercast. Examples include racial and gender stereotypes, less than enlightened modes of expression, and your hearing-impaired grandma complaining very loudly about how the Puerto Ricans next door are such nice people but their cooking smells terrible, or grandpa asking you what's so bad about the crows in Dumbo. We here at the Beercast do not condone such views, but as purveyors of free expression, we like to acknowledge such views as products of their time, and therefore worthy of preservation, all with an aim toward maintaining social harmony and minimizing discord. In short, we're adults, but we're not dicks.
Oh, by the way, everybody kind of looks at Juke after he tells the story, and then they just look back at the jar. They're like,
Right.
Nice story, Juke. Thanks
They're like,
for that.
Whatever, dude.
Yeah. And then Jadu, amidst our 1940s alert, he says he knows what that thing in the jar is. He says it's the center of life. He talks about things that crawl and slither in the swamp, and over millennia they evolve into all sorts of things. And he says eventually humans. And he says the thing in the jar knows we come from it and that we're going back to it. Again, it's
so
like
good.
Oh, it's amazing, and it's like, well, thanks for that.
Yeah, if I was in the room, I'd be like, dude, shut up. Don't say that. It's dark out.
And then Charlie offers his 2 cents. He gives us a pleasant idea.
Right.
He says, and what does he say?
He comes up with this idea that any generic old man could go into the swamp, get lost, and stay there, wandering around for years. And you're turning pale and cold, and you're out of the sun forever, and you're starting to shrivel up until finally you just end up sinking into the muck and scum. And he says, quote, like maggot skeeters sleeping in sump water.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Man,
It's very pleasant.
it's so charming.
Yeah. And then we get an idea from Mrs. Tridden. She says a lot of kids go wandering around down by the swamp and get lost, and they never come back. As a matter of fact, she lost her little boy Foley. And then she says, you don't suppose? She wonders if that's the thing in the jar is actually her lost son. Foley's in that jar.
Is that you in there, Foley?
Over and over again. Yeah.
Yeah, she wonders if it's her son because she had lost track of him at some point in the swamp, and he's gone.
Yeah.
And they're all like, oh, no, I remember that. And it's like, what the fuck town is this that these... They say, well, naked kids go running off all the time into the swamp and disappear. It's fine. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Those naked kids do that, man.
What time and place is this? Because it's insane.
Well, next we hear from Granny Carnation. And she says, we come here night after night for 10 days now, and all we do is try to figure out what this damn thing is. If we knew what it was, we'd have nothing to talk about. She likens it to not knowing the secret to a magic trick.
Yeah. See, now, Granny's got it handled.
Yes. Yeah.
Granny's on it. She's not like,
is.
it's a demon, it's a thing. You know?
Right. She says, if it's like knowing a magic... Oh, this is a wonderful expression that I can't... All right, you're going to like this.
Okay.
So, it's almost like the corn cob thing. Not quite as nasty, though. She likens it to a magic trick where she says, once you know the secret, it's not interesting anymore. And she says, it's no more fun than the innards of a jackbob. Okay, and I don't know what a jackbob is.
I don't either. I was counting on you. You've let me down. I don't know. I still don't know what it is.
Okay, well, I searched high and low. Unfortunately, the only thing I found was an Urban Dictionary definition.
Oh, okay.
And it was, quote, a major fuckboy.
What? Okay. I would doubt that's what this is.
I'm not 100% sure that, but I don't think that's what Ray was going for.
I kind of doubt it. I got my doubts on that.
God bless the internet.
Yep.
Okay, and then we hear, I don't think it's nothing. And that's the voice of Tom Carmody.
Yeah.
Come back to spoil everything for everyone.
Yep. And again, he's standing, as always, in shadow. He's
Yes.
out on the porch.
Yes.
Just his eyes staring in.
Right.
And with his lips mocking laughter, whatever. And
Yeah.
it says it got inside Charlie's head like a hornet sting.
Yes, it's awesome.
Good.
By the way, the name Carmody, I don't know if...
Oh, I looked that up too.
Okay.
There's lots of them.
Okay.
There's lots of people. There was a doctor. There was an old European football player.
Okay.
Famous player. And then there's a current actor.
Oh, okay. That I didn't know.
A younger guy.
Okay.
And a few other things. There were like 6 other Tom Carmodys.
Yeah. Well, do you know what I thought of? Is that the woman in Stephen King's story, The Mist, is named Carmody, Mrs. Carmody. And she's like the religious fanatic.
Oh, the fanatic, yeah.
Yeah. That gets everybody...
Yeah.
Divides everybody. Ugh. That's a Carmody too. And as always, I like to speculate that maybe King had stored that name away after reading the story and just conjured it up one day as, in the lint trap of his mind.
Where does Bradbury hail from?
Illinois, I think.
Illinois, okay.
Yeah.
So not so much. Like I thought maybe it would be a regional name.
Oh, okay.
Where they were both sort of ish from.
Right.
Right. Don't know. But... You're probably right. He probably stored that one in his files that he.
Yep.
Oh, again, a reference to Dreamcatcher.
Okay. You know what? I've never. Read
I know you haven't seen it, but there's
seen it.
someone or read it, seen it.
Yeah.
A filing system in somebody's head, and you literally go into their head and open file cabinets to find out what they're thinking.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So
that's
it's
awesome.
like that's Stephen King's mindset. I think is
okay.
a big library file system up in his melon. Yeah.
Yeah, and when you're a writer, this isn't my metaphor, but somebody, I can't remember who it was, likened it to walking along a beach and coming across little bits of flotsam and jetsam, and you just throw it into the water. And as you move on with the journey of your life, eventually the stuff washes all back up together.
Yeah.
Okay. So that you're just like, oh, I'm just going to use this thing, and little did you know, you actually picked it up and threw it in there years before. So you're collecting all this stuff and all these experiences, and
that's great. That's really good.
Details and stuff. Yeah, it's cool.
I like that.
So Charlie doesn't react well to the mockery, right? Mm-hmm. Once more, he's thinking Thede must have put Tom up to it, and we get the impression that maybe Charlie thinks she and Tom Carmody are a thing.
Yeah. And
Tom basically tells everybody they're an idiot for indulging Charlie in this thing in the first place. Yeah. He says it ain't nothing but a rotted jellyfish. That's all it is. And he laughs again. And Charlie catches a glimpse of Thede in the corner. She's getting a little fidgety. Mm-hmm. So, she's reacting to Tom Carmody. And Tom storms off, and Granny Carnation offers another theory about the thing in the jar. She says maybe it's actually all things. It's beautiful the way he describes this. He says all kinds of muck and jelly and nastiness. She says grass and snakes and children and mist and all the nights and days in the dead canebrake. It's like poetry. And I wrote here in my notes, fuck you, Ray, you no-talent hack.
Yeah.
Because...
yeah. It's so good.
Yeah, you come across something like that. That's what they call an eyeball kick. By the way, in the writing biz, we call that an eyeball kick.
An eyeball kick.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Wow.
The meeting breaks up after another hour, and during that time, Charlie suspects Thede has gone off after Tom Carmody. Mm-hmm. He spends the rest of the night in a sweat over it. And next we see Charlie in bed, and he hears Thede come in, and she slips into bed next to him, and she proceeds to be a colossal bitch.
Fuck, man. It's so rough.
Yeah, she says, bet you don't know where I've been. She's actually singing it to him.
Just taunting him. Just,
yeah.
Bitch.
She tells him, yeah, and they're laying there in the dark, lying there. I do that all the time. They're lying there in the dark, and she says she did meet up with Tom Carmody, and that the two of them drove over to the carnival and met with the carny boss to ask about the jar. She says, bet you don't know what he said. She tells him the carny boss said, It was worth about $2, and I unloaded it onto some hick for 12. And then she says the carny boss told them what was inside that jar, and Charlie all but like plugs his ears and goes la 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 la. You know, he doesn't want to hear it all.
He's like, "Don't burst my bubble,
Yeah.
God damn it!" Shit.
Right. The carny boss said it's rubber, papier-mâché, silk, cotton, all held together with a metal frame and floating in boric acid. That's all it is. And of course, Charlie doesn't want to hear any of that.
Right.
She continues taunting him, though. She says, wait till everybody hears the truth. And you got to wonder about her motivation in all this. Just wants to take him down. And
it's the worst.
And then he says to her, you couldn't sleep right until you ruined everything, could you? Which is great. It's a little, very cold, but man, she deserves it.
Oh, yeah.
You probably couldn't sleep until you just ruined everything. And he says, you know what? It doesn't matter what the truth is. You spoiled my fun. It doesn't matter if everybody else knows. You spoiled my fun. Yeah. Because he was a big man, finally.
Yeah.
You
finally had something.
Yeah.
Now you took that.
And then he's thinking about how Tom Cartman, he's been making a fool of him. He's thinking, not only is he losing Thede after trying to hold on to her for so long, but he's also losing the jar now, which has become everything to him.
Right.
He goes over to it and he picks it up. He's about to smash it. Then he pauses it and he holds it and he's sobbing. And he's thinking about his relationship with Thede. I almost picture him like being like, I'm sorry, Jar. I didn't mean to be so mad at you.
I didn't mean it.
One of my favorite lines in the whole story. For too many years, her hips had been the pendulum by which he reckoned the time of his living.
God.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Screw you, Ray.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
That is so good.
It's really good.
Read that again.
For too many years, her hips had been the pendulum by which he reckoned the time of his living. Yeah.
Forget it.
Yeah.
I'm not writing it.
I'm done. Right. Exactly. After he's about to smash the jar, he changes his mind. He says, what am I doing? And he's stroking it. And he's, finally...
How could I stay mad at you?
Right.
I did. I thought of Homer instantly when he was cuddling it. Like, oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
And was that Pinchy? Pinchy the lobster?
Yeah, I think so. No, it was that. No, it was that huge party sub that he wouldn't stop eating.
Right.
And he's laying with it on the couch.
Right. It's
all
nasty.
green and gray, and he's all sick. He was going to throw it out, and he goes, "Oh, how could I stay mad at you?" And he starts eating it again.
That's right.
It's so good.
That's beautiful.
Such a good one. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's okay. That's awesome.
Oh my God, that's a good one.
Beautiful.
Anyway, okay.
So finally, he conjures up some balls to stand up to her, and he says, you're lying. You never saw the carny boss. And, guess what? Even if you did talk to him, he lied.
Yeah.
And, once more, this jar does have something. He says, come here and take a look. It does have something in here. He holds it up to her. He takes a step closer to her, going, here, kitty, 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 kitty. It just makes you shudder.
Yeah, that's right.
And here's the thing.
Like his lights just went out, and he's
like,
come here.
Okay, from the low brow to the high brow, I'm gonna really get as close to the pedantic son without burning off my wings here. Okay, this just makes me shudder. Okay, it's not just because of the cat.
Right.
There's an old English word. I'm going to mangle it, but it's something like duschawang. Okay, duschawang, I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not sure, but whatever it is, it translates literally to contemplation of the dust. Okay, and what that refers to is an engagement with the idea of mortality, okay, on its face. And I was thinking this is what horror fiction excels at, is engaging with the idea of mortality. From a safe distance, but engaging with it on its face. This is where we're all going, and it helps to sort of exorcise that horror from your system by reading this stuff. Oh, other people feel this way too.
Yeah.
It's not just me. Other people are freaked out about their own mortality also.
Sure.
And you do it in an artistic way and in a metaphoric way. This is as close as you get as perfect. That whole idea of drowning the kitten and then invoking it in this fashion just allows all of us to contemplate the dust. It's pretty intense.
Yeah, a lot of people will, if you write, and I dabble, you write, but when I have written a few things, or when I talk about books that I've read, they're like, why do you read all that dark stuff? What is that? I said, it's,
Yeah.
I'm not the one who wrote it.
Right.
Someone else is like dealing with it, and I'm, getting a little out of that.
You think they're doing the who's more foolish, the fool or the fool who follows him?
Exactly right. I mean, it's
that was a really bad Obi-Wan. Anyway.
It was actually pretty good. I knew that was
Who's
actually
all
really
foolish?
good. Yeah. That's okay. So we're gonna have to break that down now.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan's voice is a cross between what? That sounded like something else. And it's gonna evade me.
No, that's yeah. I don't know.
Do it again.
Who's more foolish, the fool or the? See, now I can't.
Oh my God, it's really good though.
All right,
that's good. Yeah,
I'll think of it after we wrap.
We'll get there.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those things that will hit me probably like at 3 a.m. I'll be like,
"That's a good Obi-Wan. That's awesome."
Again, we're gonna do a bonus episode of all terrible impressions. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
So anyway,
you've got me beat by a mile. You've done like 4 or 5 of them now.
You gotta up your game, pal.
I better work on my shit, man.
You better work on your mediocre impressions.
I have one that's so loud I can't do it into a microphone. Okay. It's 2 of them that are so fucking loud that I couldn't possibly do it in this room.
It's not the Dean scream, is it?
No. One of them is Liam Neeson's character in The Gray.
Okay.
Did you see The Gray?
No, I didn't.
Oh my God, it's great.
I'm incredibly ignorant with movies.
Oh really?
There's a lot I haven't. What I know really well. What I don't know about movies can fill ocean.
Well, the other one is George C. Scott and Patton.
Oh, of course. Okay.
And he yells quite a bit.
Yeah, absolutely, sure. I used to do him in Dr. Strangelove. Remake us off as a degenerate atheist commie.
Yeah,
right.
That's good.
Degenerate atheist commie.
Yeah.
Anyway, I gotta work on it.
All right, I'm gonna turn my mic down a little and try it.
Oh, let's hear it.
Hold on. We're gonna go through them all the time. That's it.
That's awesome.
Could you even hear that?
That blew mine away. No, it's great. Yeah, it was awesome.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it blew mine away.
Yep. All right, so then fuck it. Liam Neeson's in The Gray. Yeah. Is he's at the end of his rope. I'm not gonna tell you what all happened, but he's at the end of his rope, pretty close to the end of the movie.
Okay.
And he's all used up. He's out in the wild. He's laying there and he's asking God to help him. Help me.
Yeah.
And he just says, he goes, "I'm calling on you." And then he's sitting there and he goes, "I'm calling on you." That's it.
That's great.
But I drive my wife fucking nuts with both of those. And those are the 2 that I do. And they're really loud. They're super fucking loud.
Love it. But we digress. About a week later, the group gathers again. It's all the usuals, but someone's missing. Theedy. Where's Theedy? Charlie says, "Wouldn't you know it? She's gone off and around to Tennessee. You know how Theedy is. She'll be back in a couple of weeks. Don't worry about her." And then Tom Carmody shows up, and he's not looking so good. He's pale, he's trembling, he's slack-jawed. He looks like he's been sick for a long time. Okay, what is with this change? Why is Theedy missing? Why is Tom Carmody looking like that? And now Gramps says, "Hey, that's funny. The thing had brown eyes the last time I saw it. Now the eyes are blue.
Mm-hmm.
Funny, it didn't have brown hair before." And we're like, oh boy.
Like what?
We have a wonderful EC Comics Tales from the Crypt ending here.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
And everyone, once again, though, begins to share what they see. And as always, they all see something kind of different. Mrs. Tridden sees her baby. Juke stares at it. And Juke says, "Here, kitty, kitty, kitty." Mm-hmm. just wonderful. And Gramps once again says he wonders if it's a he or a she or just a plain old it. And Charlie looks over at Tom Carmody and says, "I reckon we'll never know." And it ends there, with everyone staring at the jar.
So good.
Yeah.
Man, not only is it good with that kablam ending, but like we said, all the way through, the atmosphere and the presentation of the world that it takes place is stunning.
Yeah. Yeah, and the insight into humanity.
Yeah.
Even though these are characters that are characters, they're not hyper-realistic. they're characters on a page,
Mm-hmm.
but there's just something about them that is purely flesh and blood to us when we're reading about them.
Yeah.
It's like again, hallmark of great writing when you can paint somebody in that fashion. Create a character that is just flesh and blood, and they don't have to do things that your next door neighbor does. But
Right.
they do things that all people do. You get it. It's amazing.
Absolutely. Having not read his stuff before, as a rule, it's now one of my favorite stories. It's crazy.
It's now one. I thought you said it's not one of my.
No, now it's one
now
of my
is
favorite stories.
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah, sure.
So good. Now, I was going to ask you,
Yeah.
with the carnival scene or flavor of this beginning of the story,
Mm-hmm.
if you're a Tom Waits fan.
You know what? I like him. Years ago, when people still lent CDs and tapes to each other, a friend of mine gave me Nighthawks at the Diner.
Good.
I enjoyed that one, and I enjoyed several of his songs. He does a lot of good stuff. I don't know if I'd call myself a fan.
Okay.
I like him, though.
Okay. I'm a huge fan.
Yes.
I think the sound of his voice to me is great, and that's what turns most people to go, what the fuck,
Yeah.
And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
it's great. It's unbelievable.
Right,
Where does
right.
that? It's coming out of the ground. What is going on?
Yeah, right, exactly.
But he opened a song. He had a live album called Big Time,
Okay.
and there's a song called Cold, Cold Ground.
Okay.
That's one of my favorites. And I say that the next song that comes on, oh, this is one of my favorites.
Right.
But anyway, this one, you can barely hear him. He's sort of playing the melody on the piano, and it fades in, and he's kind of introducing what the song is to the crowd. And he just
Yeah, I
says,
love that.
you can barely hear him. He goes, this is a story about a little guy that lives in a little house. And that's it. And that sort of made me think of Charlie.
Okay.
This
All right,
little
yeah.
guy that doesn't have shit.
Yeah.
It's got
Right,
that feel
yeah.
of not pleasant times in the early part of the 20th century.
I can totally see that.
One of the great lines was, when the roads washed out, we passed the bottle around and wade in the arms of the cold, cold ground.
Oh, nice.
And I thought that to me sounded kind of like where they live.
Okay. See, I was thinking that it would be like one of his spoken word things where he's just, playing and he's like, the hell is that thing in the jar?
Oh, yeah. You know that song, What's He Building in There?
What's he building in there? It's exactly
Yeah.
what I was thinking of.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Granny Carnation says it's all
Yeah.
things, but Tom Carmody begs to differ.
See, you got it. That's exactly what I'm getting at. You nailed it. Yeah,
So-
I kept thinking of Tom Waits is going to walk in the room and go, what's in that jar? How's that? Excellent story. I loved it.
Yes, me too. Me too, indeed. And you know what I was thinking also, I say I'm pedantic, and I don't like to get too pedantic. I don't like to really dissect things and say, this is what this means, this is what blah, blah, blah. I usually like to talk around a story, just little things like what we discuss about the people's reactions to things like that.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, I don't care if this is a supernatural thing that's happening or what. I just like a story like this. I just want it to land and affect you in some way,
Well, that's the whole reason for opening the book in the first place.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, you want to have some sort of holy shit moment.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Be that terror or holy shit, that was beautiful, or
Yeah.
whatever the thing is. You just want to be affected
Yes.
completely.
Absolutely.
You
I
want
agree.
their craft. You want them to show off how good they are.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what I do, So you only need to read Ray for so long before you realize he's obsessed with carnivals, okay? Whether in his introductions or in his stories. Like I said, it features prominently in Something Wicked This Way Comes. There's a few other stories that he writes that have carnivals in them.
Mm-hmm.
The one about the dwarf who stares in the funhouse mirror to make himself look taller.
Oh, wow.
This stems from an experience Ray had as a child. I can't do it justice, so I'm not going to tell it here, but I'm going to beg our listeners to Google or YouTube search Ray Bradbury and Mr. Electrico. If I can find a link to it, I'll put it in the show notes.
Nice.
He had an experience with Mr. Electrico. It was an act in the Carney. And he said it just really affected him, and he claimed to become a writer at that moment and had been a writer ever since.
Wow.
It's pretty amazing, his story. He tells it beautifully, too. Mr. Electrico.
There he is. Man, that is so good.
Okay, I have to say, my Hazy Little Thing IPA by Sierra Nevada, served up in a mason jar, paired very well with this story.
Yeah. Treated you well?
Yes, it did, indeed. And
Good.
I saw things that I shouldn't have seen, but I'm all the better for it. How about you?
Yeah, like I said, North Peak doesn't disappoint. Not me. Dauntless is very good. The Dauntless Oktoberfest Lager.
Wonderful.
It's a good one.
It's a good one.
It's a good one, yeah. And he's still dauntless to me, Charlie.
Yes.
More than
he
ever.
is. Absolutely. Now he is. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's that. We'll see you soon, buddy.
Thank you, man.
All right. We're out. Hey, it's Paul. Don't go yet. I have one thing I just want to talk to you about, and that's subscribing to the podcast. You can do so wherever you want. You can go to Apple Podcasts and subscribe there, or go to the podcaster of your choice and subscribe there. I don't know how they work. There's just thing where you press a button and things come to you. It's great. Or you can visit me at paullorello.substack.com. The link is in the description. There you can find special content that I've created just for you, just for the show. It's pretty amazing. Alrighty. See what you can do about that, will ya? And we'll see you next time.